former Navy hospital corpsman and conscientious objector, Justin Calker.
Good afternoon. You'll have to excuse me, I've never held a megaphone before and I'm kind of squeamish about pulling triggers, so. That's a good one though. The first time I saw Collateral Murder, I had to keep reminding myself, I'm watching people get killed. In our culture of entertainment soaked in violence, where we idle most of our time with graphic glorification of death, Collateral Murder was just too real. There is no trembling surround sound, no sparkles of an IMAX explosion, no chasing down bullets in slow motion. Just round after round of 30mm cannon fire pounding away life, all captured in monochrome low def. A pile of dead men, 2 wounded children, and an Apache helicopter making slow, steady circles around the ruins. This was our war. Numb, disconnected death. I found out about Collateral Murder through the word of mouth. There had been a lot of talk about these civilians murdered in Iraq, 2 journalists, a photographer and a driver. They had been working on assignment for Reuters when an Apache helicopter opened fire on them. My mind immediately went back to the 2003 incident where 2 other journalists, 2 war correspondents, were blown up by a U.S. tank while they were in their hotel, a hotel filled with unembedded journalists. I thought it was strange this time that the military would even bother to mention to the public that it had killed war reporters. But of course, they hadn't. Someone exposed them. I barely had time to process the fact that someone managed to release evidence of more journalists being killed and that the mass media was actually covering it before I was hastily corrected. The media, along with the Army, were forced to acknowledge the situation because this wasn't just a rumor spread in the ears of the press. This wasn't the often ignored testimony from Baghdad locals. This was a video, and this footage of 2 civilians, 2 journalists getting killed by the U.S. Army, it wasn't just sent out to the papers or the news stations, it was sent out to everyone. It was online. At first it seemed incomprehensible to me that someone released images from Iraq of the Army killing people trying to release images from Iraq. And they took the video from the Army itself. And if that wasn't risky enough, they bypassed all the talking heads and all the commercial news outlets and gave an indelible record of war crimes to the entire world. I can't think of anything more democratic than that. To call Collateral Murder or the Afghan War Diaries a leak is an immediate invective of language. The government, the mass media, they call these things leaks. They call them leaks as though they're a slow, steady trickle of information tumbling without direction onto the American landscape. They would have us believe that leaks are nothing more than meaningless detritus sloughed off by a well-oiled war machine. Evidence of murder. Doesn't just drip calmly from the battlefield. It has to be spirited away from enemy lines, gripped hard and hurled into the air, let to burn over the heads of every one of the misled and misinformed. In the fight for this country's conscience, Collateral Murder is a flash grenade. It's a bright hot blast that for an instant breaks the darkness of war. It shakes us, it frightens us, but it gives us vision. We need this desperately. We are a country that has seen its government suppress hundreds of photos of torture from Abu Ghraib, ban photos of military caskets from being published, embed journalists to keep them firmly at heel, and let those unembedded hack it out in the crossfire. We've been lied to at every turn about Iraq. Its purpose, its progress, its end, they've all been subject to fabrication. Right. Our government is nothing if not hostile intent for the freedom of information. And yet our press, beholden to advertising dollars, has capitulated itself time and time again to the will of a government who wants nothing more than to keep us uninformed, right, to keep us sedate and compliant. Right. Yet someone actually stood up in the face of the most powerful military in the world and honored their duty to tell the truth. We should all look at this event as a reminder that there are brave individuals willing to expose injustice, and that if we try hard enough, there is an antidote to the impotent corporate media. And we should all say, with the sincerest voice of gratitude, about fucking time! right now for releasing the video and thousands of reports and communiques known as the Afghan War Diary is a soldier by the name of Private Bradley Manning. I don't know Private Bradley Manning. I don't know what his intentions have been and what his involvement in this situation is, or even if he's responsible for the release. I'm here today to come in solidarity with Private Manning, not because I'm attesting to his guilt or innocence, but because, like any prisoner of moral action, his future is sure to be dark and ugly. To persecute is to follow the path of least resistance, one that many eagerly follow. Manning demonstrates a kind of courage that's rarely seen, and the transparency that he has provided betters every man and woman in America. Manning sacrificed his career, his reputation, and his livelihood to keep us informed. Now, some for this will call him a traitor, a coward, a treasonous threat to the country. They will say he recklessly endangered his people and that he's the moral equivalent of the terrorists themselves. This simply is not true. The assertion that WikiLeaks and collateral murder are threatening the U.S. military is the kind of sophistry that comes from warmongers. Terrorists in Iraq will hardly find comfort in knowing that the U.S. is prepared to kill any Arab, be it civilian, woman, or child. It's doubtful they need a Western website to remind them of that. It's been claimed that by releasing accounts of Iraqi deaths, we run the risk of instigating anti-U.S. sentiment and emboldening our enemies. Bradley Manning has been accused of putting the troops in unnecessary jeopardy by releasing classified information. But Bradley Manning is not responsible for the risks that the troops face, nor is he responsible for inflaming an already virulent group of radicals. It is the people that send our men and women to fight, to die in wars of aggression that are responsible. We need to hold the blame where the blame belongs. It's the people who ask our soldiers to terrorize and kill innocent civilians that are responsible. It's the people who take every mother, every father, every son, and every daughter who wishes to serve their country and turn them into cannon fodder for their self-serving imperialist satisfaction. George Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, they put the troops in jeopardy. Yes. Barack Obama, Robert Gates, Hillary Clinton, the U.S. Congress, they put the troops in jeopardy. Every war hawk, every ideologue, and every TV news personality that beats the war drum so loudly that no other sound can be heard, that allowed our country to go to war with virtually no debate, they put our troops in jeopardy. We're being taught a chilling lesson, that the moral failing is not the invasion and occupation of a nation or the routine abuse of its citizens, but its revelation to the world. Loyalty, they tell us, is silence. Silence is not loyalty. Silence is complicity. Right. Silence is the aid that allows any crime to go unrecognized. Silence is the great enabler of war and the death of freedom. The very oxygen of a democracy is discourse and consent. The great danger to the government isn't that the Afghan terrorists or the Taliban will see this video or read the Afghani war diaries. They're afraid that we are going to see this. Yeah. They are afraid that we'll understand what indignities and atrocities are being carried out in our name. They don't want us to see how the war we own, bought with our tax dollars, is actually being conducted. Because with that will be the inevitable decline in support. The propaganda will have failed. This was the gift our democracy received, the gift for which Private Manning is now ostracized and imprisoned. We rallied today under the slogan, exposing war crimes is not a crime. But what's been exposed is another example of something much deeper, that war is the crime. Right. The true reason the government finds this video so troubling is because it drops the curtain of war and shows it for what it is. We see the cold reality of combat, where in the anxiety of a battlefield a camera lens can look like an RPG, where warning shots are never fired, where unarmed men are killed for trying to help a badly wounded photographer writhing on the ground. It's the faces of two children being pulled from a van, shot to perforated wreckage. These children whose only crime was being a passenger of men who were trying to pick up the helpless. It's the sharp indifference driven into men asked to kill every day. I've seen a lot of condemnation of the Apache helicopter operators, both for their disregard for human life and their callous commentary as they took it. When I hear the excitement in their voice as they finish shooting, when I hear them trade snide remarks about the men lying dead in the streets and the children they've shot, all I hear is the sound of war. All veterans are victims of war, not just the shrapnel or the bullet or the mortar. They carry with them the tremendous psychological wounds that are difficult to heal. They must live with the devastation they were asked to commit, the friends they've seen die, and perhaps the most damaging, the violence that's been placed into their hearts. We have a duty to show them compassion. Moreover, we should be thankful for the testimony they've given us, those brave who speak out, our generation's winter soldiers and whistleblowers like Bradley Manning. It's only through their voice that we can truly understand what war means. Our support of Bradley Manning cannot end at this rally. We must support him every day. We must let everyone know that we will value and protect those who open our eyes to things we cannot see. Yes. There exist people selfless and courageous who would willingly risk everything to bring information to the public, but they need our help. One of the highest honors we can do and pay to Bradley Manning is to see his gift for ourselves. So go read the Afghan War Diary. Go watch Collateral Murder. Talk about it. Promote it. Read, research, listen. Listen to all the voices, not just the loudest. And above all, derive strength from his sacrifice. The life of our country depends on our participation. So stand up, speak out, and never let fear be a prison of truth.
Yeah!